So over the holidays, there was a lot of right-wing infighting going on in what some are calling the MAGA Civil War. And it's mainly Elon Musk starting to find out who Trump's base really is, and Trump's base starting to find out who Elon Musk really is. It's Elon Musk being somewhat pro-immigration in some ways that a lot of the racists on Trump's side are not happy with, and then Elon Musk not being as pro-free speech as they were all pretending he was for a while. So the two sides are going at it, and it's got a lot of prominent right-wingers facing off and fighting online. That includes Elon Musk, Steve Bannon, Laura Loomer, Alex Jones, End Wokeness, Ian Miles Chong, Tucker Carlson, even Milo Yiannopoulos has come back for this one and just woken up for a little while to start fighting. So we're going to go over some of the tweets and what's going on the internet right now. So a lot of this starts with a guy named Sriram Krishnan, who Donald Trump had just appointed as senior policy advisor for artificial intelligence. So now that he's in charge of AI, he posted saying, "I'm honored to be able to serve our country and ensure continued American leadership in AI, working closely with David Sachs. Thank you, Donald Trump, for this opportunity." But this was followed by Elon Musk tweeting it out, saying all actions of the Department of Government Efficiency will be posted online for maximum transparency. Anytime the public thinks we're cutting something important or not cutting something wasteful, just let us know. And Sriram said, anything to remove country caps for green cards / unlock skilled immigration would be huge. So Laura Loomer replied to this and said, deeply disturbing to see the appointment of Sriram Krishnan as Senior Policy Advisor for AI at the Office of Science and Technology Policy. It's alarming to see the number of career leftists who are now being appointed to serve in Trump's administration when they share views that are in direct opposition to Trump's America First agenda. How will we control immigration in our country and promote America First innovation when Trump appointed this guy who wants to remove all restrictions on green card caps in the United States so that foreign students, which make up 78% of the employees in Silicon Valley, can come to the United States and take jobs that should be given to American STEM students? This is very troubling. Mind you, none of the tech executives who are meeting with Trump and getting appointed in his cabinet supported him in 2020 or during the 2024 primary. I feel like many of them are trying to get into Trump's administration to enrich themselves and get contracts at DOD. This is not America First policy. So it's a little weird that she thinks just getting in with Trump and working with Trump means that you'll start to get rich. It's as though you can just start working with a bunch of billionaires in the White House and they'll make sure you make a lot of money. And Laura Loomer, somebody who's very close with Donald Trump, somebody who's been a white nationalist, very outspoken, mostly a troll, somebody who puts on a lot of charades and does a lot of crap to get a lot of attention. She is very close with Donald Trump and has been with him in a lot of moments that were big moments and has been, accompanying him to big presidential events. And she's kind of calling him out here, saying that anybody who's able to work with Donald Trump is able to enrich themselves. Now, David Sachs did respond to Laura Loomer right here, and he said, point of clarification, Sriram didn't say he wanted to remove all caps on green cards. He said he wants to remove country caps on green cards. Right now, every country in the world gets allocated the same number of green cards, no matter how many qualified applicants it has. So applicants from India have an 11-year wait, whereas applicants from many other countries have no wait at all. Sriram still supports skills-based criteria for receiving a green card, not making the program unlimited. In fact, he wants to make the program entirely merit-based. Supporting a limited number of highly skilled immigrants is still a prevalent view on the right. Sriram is definitely not a career leftist. So mainly what they're talking about is H-1B visas, which is a type of work visa that's for immigrants to use to get into the country. There's about 60,000 of them, plus there's another 20,000 that are just for people who went to school within the United States, got a degree, and then now it gives them time to work within the United States within the tech industry. Now, Laura Loomer, who just wants white people to get into the country or white people to get certain jobs, is very upset that there might be immigrants getting some of these jobs. And she says it's not America first policy, but if these immigrants are willing to work for American companies and help these companies, and they're more than qualified, then I would say this is very much America first. It may not be an American working the job, but it is an immigrant benefiting America in the end. Now, she replied to David Sachs, who Donald Trump says is the guy that Sriram will be working under. And when she replied, she said, "Average tech policy, bro. AI is getting to put software engineers out of work within 5 years." This is like a common white nationalist conspiracy theory that like all of the workers are going to get put out. AI is going to do everything pretty soon, and nobody's going to have any jobs pretty soon. And they make a big deal about the fact that they think no one's going to be able to work a job. So she goes on to say, also average tech policy, bro. We need to import tens of thousands more software engineers from India. I don't think average tech policy bros are actually saying that everybody's going to get put out of work. I don't know who she's quoting here, but it is true that this policy is going to make it to where more people from India and from Asian countries are going to come over and work. So she says, which one is it, David Sachs? You should let us know what these Indian programmers are going to do if AI is going to replace programmers. You're the incoming AI czar. Perhaps you can give us an answer, because I perceive this as a massive contradiction and it doesn't align with original MAGA immigration policy. David Sachs says, I agree there's a contradiction. You'll be happy to know that no one on the AI team will be working on immigration policy, so their views on green cards are irrelevant. I think we can also agree that before even discussing legal immigration, we should completely seal the border and stop migrant crime, like the insane New York subway attack. So obviously there was a subway attack recently from an illegal immigrant who set a woman on fire. It was somebody who was deported and then came back. And so, the right loves to use small anecdotes of a couple people who are illegal immigrants committing crimes, and then they use that anecdote and blow it up into this big news to make everybody afraid of illegal immigrants and making them afraid of all immigrants at that point. But he has a very good point here that if somebody's working on AI or they're working on something technology related, there's no reason to believe that they're going to have anything to do with immigration policy. Him just suggesting to Elon Musk that they should do this thing, this doesn't mean that Elon has to do it. And Elon's not actually the president, they say. Okay, they tell us he's not the president, but supposedly, if Laura Loomer is making it sound like everybody's able to pay off Donald Trump or pay their way into Donald Trump's circle or get into Donald Trump's circle and then get paid, then I would say that this is possible that Elon Musk is in charge and is able to call the shots here, but we'll see on that one. So yeah, Laura goes on to say thank you for admitting that there's a contradiction. So a guy named Sid Harth comes out and says that people opposing high-skilled immigration are anti-American, which is my position that yes, we want the best people working for us. But he said groups like U.S. tech workers operating with shady funding from external forces and amplified by figures like Laura Loomer are nothing more than propaganda machines designed to weaken America's competitive edge. Their agenda isn't about protecting jobs, it's about stoking division and fear. History teaches us that when America shuts its doors, it falls behind. To oppose high-skilled immigration is to deny the very essence of what makes this country a global leader. Don't let bad faith actors masquerade as patriots. They are working against America, not for it. Now, U.S. Tech Workers is a group on Twitter that has about 36.4 thousand followers. They said, "We bring together civic-minded people to advocate on behalf of American workers harmed by employment visa programs and demand Congress enact reforms." Now, according to a special report on diversity in high tech, it still says that there's 68.5% white men in high tech positions currently, and 14% is Asian Americans. Now, that is disproportionate to the rest of the country, because the rest of the country and the rest of the industries are at about 5.8%, and tech does have a higher percentage at about 14%. But according to Google AI, it says, according to available data, around 1/3 of tech employees in Silicon Valley are of Indian origin, representing a significant portion of American tech jobs held by Indians, although an exact percentage for the entire U.S. tech industry is not readily available. Some sources estimate this could be around 6% of the total U.S. tech workforce. Yet, the U.S. tech workers Twitter group is still posting videos like this.
Mike Emmons is the man who tipped us off. So few of us really knew what was going on. That companies here in the States, especially in the information technology business, were bringing in thousands of foreign workers supposedly to fill vacant jobs. But Mike, and many, many like him, will tell you those jobs were not vacant. They were occupied by Americans who wound up having to train the foreigners to replace them.
People are beginning to wake up that they don't have to take this anymore.
Mike told us about the H-1B and L-1 visa programs that enable businesses to hire or transfer foreign workers to the U.S.
It burns me up more and more that they would do this to their own citizens.
So they're acting like they're training people to replace them, when it could be that they're training people who are just going to take up extra positions that they need taken up. And also, they say they're bringing in thousands of people to make it sound like a really big number, but then when you look at percentages, it's not a very big number. White people and white men are still disproportionately represented within the tech industry if they're at 69%. White people take up somewhere from 60 to 67% of the United States, so 69% means, yes, they are still represented higher than their proportion within the general population. But after Sid Harth tweeted this out, and he called out this tech group who's posting the propaganda, Laura Loomer quote tweeted him and said, "Our country was built by white Europeans, actually, not third world invaders from India. You know, it was white Europeans who created the American dream, and we didn't create it so that it could be exploited by pro-open border techies like you." So again, she is mostly advocating for white Europeans to have these jobs. It's not just about Americans. It's not about America first. It is about white people having the jobs. She goes on to say, "P.S. Why are people in India still shitting in the water they bathe and drink from? Don't talk to me as an American citizen about innovation when we actually have running water and indoor plumbing here in America. Perhaps you need to retake your American history class. Do the tech billionaires you work with in Silicon Valley even bother teaching their third world hires about American history anymore? Or are you only interested in your invader supremacist revisionist history?" She did get a reader's added context on some of the other claims about white Europeans, where it says the USA was built by various ethnic groups, including Europeans, Africans, Native Americans, and later immigrants from around the world, all contributing to its culture, economy, and society. So somebody else commented below that, one of her fans. He said, "Any AI companies of note were founded by white Europeans. Indians may manage, but they can't found." So the idea that white Europeans founded these things is really just white Americans at a high rate, but not just white Europeans. And also, this is a ridiculous claim. So he also had a reader's added context. It says, "This is factually incorrect. Perplexity was found by Aravind Srinivas in Indian. It has an evaluation of $8 billion and 15 million users. A bridge was founded by Dr. Shiv Rao, an Indian American. The company has an evaluation of $2.5 billion and serves 10,000 clinicians. And then they have a bunch of sources here. Now, there are a bunch of real America First people commenting under Laura Loomer's posts, letting her know that we are very happy not to be associated with Europe anymore. And we fought a war, actually, to not be associated with Europe anymore. So she may be unaware of America's history and may have to go back to history class to find out. But Ian Miles Chong, somebody who is an Elon simp, posted saying, X wouldn't be what it is today if Elon didn't recruit this guy for his expertise. Now, a lot of people are going to continue saying, hey, Elon is valuable to us. We shouldn't call him out. We shouldn't try to disagree with him. If you disagree with Elon and you want to hold him accountable for something that you think he's wrong on, you shouldn't have to pay homage to him for getting your president elected with billions of dollars and a bunch of propaganda campaigns lying about what Kamala Harris said or what she advocated for. Like, you should be able to still call him out, especially if this is a platform all about free speech and everything. Like, you shouldn't really care, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Laura Loomer replied to this. She said, big tech gave me something, so we can't hold them accountable. Pay attention, you guys. This is what they are really saying. And it is what they are really saying. And we'll see a lot more posts like this in a little bit. But Laura Loomer goes on here. She says, getting so many nice messages from U.S. tech workers. Thank you for what you started. Thank you for fighting for us. Thank you for being our voice. New follower. Love your balls. Thank you. It's my pleasure to fight for the American people and publicly and aggressively check people. Sometimes you have to jolt people to their core to wake people up from hypnosis. Now she goes on here and brings in Trump and says, well, I guess I won, Elon Musk, because I got you and all of your big tech buddies who are trying to infiltrate the White House to respond and expose yourselves as being in opposition to MAGA immigration policy. Thank you for telling the whole world that everyone who speaks out about H-1B visa foreigners taking jobs from Americans is an attention-seeking troll. P.S. You're still not our president. The real president knows H-1B visas are bad for America, and the real president is from this country. And she tags this video from Trump.
But no, he's not going to be president, that I can tell you. And I'm safe. You know why? He can't be. He wasn't born in this country.
So this was also responding to Elon Musk, where he said, at risk of starting the obvious, there are many attention-seeking trolls on all social media platforms trying to yank your chain, because other people were talking about the fact that Elon might have some racist employees posting as well. End Wokeness, an account with over 3 million followers, posted, we can debate and have dialogue, but it would be foolish to alienate Elon in the process. Look how that turned out for the left. I don't think the left alienated Elon. I think that Elon just saw an opportunity to get more power and took it, and used as much money to do so as possible. But Laura Loomer responded to this. She said, we aren't alienating Elon Musk. We want to have a conversation with him, but he limits the convo by deleting our check marks and by calling trolls and subtards. She's saying that he calls them trolls and subtards. I'd be happy to have a conversation, but he limited my account. That's a bad faith effort at conversation and debate. So apparently he did limit her account during this fight. Here she posted, because Elon Musk has censored my account in retaliation for speaking about big tech and immigration. He removed my checkmark and canceled my subscriptions. We are witnessing totalitarian censorship. I'm deeply disturbed by what is happening. MAGA is under attack. Here she says, this is Neil Patel, CEO of Tucker Carlson's network. I wonder how Tucker Carlson feels about his comments below on H-1B at Neil Patel. Neil Patel was an advisor to Dick Cheney when he was VP. As VP, he managed the vice president's policy staff. Seems conflicting. And she does post a tweet from Neil Patel where he is speaking against H-1B visas, calling them a complete giveaway to corporate America, primarily big tech. Ian Miles Chong posted, he said, much of the anger being driven towards Elon Musk today is simply disappointment being projected by the retarded right. That's on the fringes of the conservative movement against Musk, whom they wish was an unrepentant racist like they are. And Elon says exactly. So I would like to say that this was a very small faction of the MAGA movement, but unfortunately it doesn't seem as though that's the case. I know that initially it was a normal thing for right-wingers to say, hey, we aren't against immigration. We're only against immigration when it doesn't benefit the country. But here, they're very clearly against immigration that does benefit the country. And not only that, but even the fact that we've been in a labor shortage for the last 3 years. And while we were getting a lot of immigrants coming over the border that were coming in legally, it was MAGA that was mostly against this. It was the entire right who was against this. And they were pointing out random Haitians who were here legally and then saying that they were eating your cats and dogs and saying that they were taking over neighborhoods. They point at every single immigrant that ever commits a crime and says, see, look what they're doing. Even though pretty much all studies show that immigrants commit crimes at lower rates, and then even illegal immigrants commit crimes at lower rates than them. So it just does not seem as though they're actually in favor of immigration when it benefits us, because we've needed immigrants over the last 3 years more than ever while we are in a labor shortage, and they have still been against immigrants coming over the border at high rates. Which means that people like Laura Loomer are not all that rare, and the way that she talks might be a little bit more brazen, but she's not a rarity on the right when it comes to her opinions. She said here, at Elon Musk just agreed with a tweet from a foreigner from Malaysia who just called MAGA Trump supporters opposed to H-1B visas the retarded right. Mask off. He first called us contemptible fools, and now he's calling us retarded right. Please condemn this right now at JD Vance. Now, an Indian American woman, Neera Tandeen, commented and said, I'm an Indian American who was born here, and it's crystal clear that the Democratic Party sees me as American, and a large part of the base of Republicans does not. I hope Indian Americans remember this moment at the next election. They don't see you as one of them. And Scott Adams said MAGA is taking a page from Democrats on how to lose elections while feeling good about themselves. I don't think this has anything to do with why Democrats lost elections, but that's fine. So Elon says yes, and those contemptible fools must be removed from the Republican Party, root and stem. So this is the contemptible fools quote that Laura Loomer was talking about earlier. And then he says, the contemptible fools I'm referring to are those in the Republican Party who are hateful, unrepentant racists. They will absolutely be the downfall of the Republican Party if they are not removed. Now, you have to remember, Elon was a Democrat for a long time and actually was not the person that he has been over the last 6 months. So I give it 6 more months before he changes his positions on this. But later on, Laura Loomer says, I wonder how Tucker Carlson and Neil Patel work together when their views are so different. Tucker is right about this issue. Looks like Tucker needs a new company CEO.
2% of its workforce. Meanwhile, during the same period, the federal government has approved hundreds of new H-1B visas for Uber. And that means they can replace those workers with foreign scabs who will work for less. It's like outsourcing, but even easier because Uber doesn't even have to build a new building. Now, there's nothing unusual about what Uber is doing. There's bipartisan consensus in Washington that we desperately need smart people from overseas to do the jobs that Americans are too badly educated to do. No reason to fix our schools or make sure higher education is serious and non-frivolous. We can just import people from countries that take education seriously. And that's what we do. That's why the U.S. government passes out foreign worker visas to allow corporations to replace people like you with people who live 6,000 miles away. Now, you probably haven't even heard of the F1 optional practical training program, But in just 4 years, from 2009 to 2013, that program replaced nearly 500,000 American jobs.
So again, he is going to quote numbers. He's going to say 500,000. It's got to sound like a big number. So anytime we have conversations like this and you hear the people quoting numbers instead of percentages, you can go ahead and discount everything they're saying, because they're trying to use big, scary numbers that are going to be intimidating to you. But so Milo Yiannopoulos jumped in and says, I'm told Loomer's dad, Jeff, may step in soon. He has previously placed Laura under multiple involuntary psychiatric holds in Arizona and, so I understand, in New York as well. So Milo is also a white nationalist troll. He used to be fairly close with Laura Loomer, but they've had their problems. Ian Miles Chong, the Elon Musk simp who we were talking about earlier, who Elon has been retweeting like crazy over the course of this war, said on Twitter, I trust the guy who runs the world's most successful companies over a frothing retard who can't even win a congressional primary against an unpopular incumbent, and then blames the governor of Florida for not throwing in his support behind her. Now, somebody replied to him and said, you said the same thing she is saying 2 years ago, fraud. And here is Ian Miles Chong saying, immigrants depress wages by competing with native workers. It's observable anywhere. In the UK, France, Japan, Canada, and the US, to even developing countries where immigrants take low-end menial jobs at lower than market rates. The New York Times claims this isn't happening. He also says this is also true for professional level jobs Silicon Valley companies used to pay far better when they weren't importing Indians on H-1B visas to live in squalid apartment blocks owned by the companies. Entertainment companies paid better when they weren't outsourcing animation. Point all of this neoliberal fuckery out of your racist, according to the New York Times. So it does look like a lot of the MAGA people have held this position in the past, and they're finding their tweets and calling a lot of them out for their hypocrisy. And it's probably not hypocrisy, it's more just simpery. They're just going to simp for Daddy Elon because they realize that Elon is their best chance to keep Trump in the White House. And if you've paid attention to politics over the last couple of years, you've realized that the people who vote for Trump don't really care about the policies, and they don't really care about what gets in, what gets done. Trump didn't do much in his last presidency. They really just want to win, and they just want Democrats to lose, and that's it. And you can go and see that in any comment section where they get proven wrong and they get fact-checked. It's just a bunch of people saying, haha, you lost, suck it, co-parter. It's not people who are like, oh man, I wish I had seen that, or actually, no, you're wrong. It's, people just saying, you lost, Democrats lost, haha. So they don't actually care if they're right or wrong or what policies they support. They just want to own the libs. And so that is where 2016 has gotten us. And then Charlie Kirk gets into the mix, also just kind of saying, hey, Elon's beneficial to us, so why would we fight with him? He says, if I was a smart leftist, I would go all in on trying to create a schism between MAGA and the tech world. We must resist this. It's an op. Our coalition will naturally have differing opinions. Together, we beat the Democrats in November. And now, together, we will save America. So it is really weird that a lot of these conservatives are not calling out Elon Musk for censoring Laura Loomer and taking away her check mark, making it to where she can't have subscribers anymore. I think she might have even been suspended for a little while. It's weird that none of them are calling out Elon Musk when he's supposed to be this bastion of freedom of speech, that he's not supposed to care about any of this. He's supposed to let people say whatever. But then even when normal, popular conservative speech is being given, he goes ahead and retaliates against those people by suspending them and taking away their check marks. And this is only because it was somebody fighting Elon Musk saying this. Laura Loomer could have said these things to anyone and could have said much worse things, and Elon never would have cared. But because she was fighting with Elon while doing it, that she's able to get some retaliation from Elon, who owns Twitter, or now X. And people like Charlie Kirk, instead of calling him out and instead of being principled whatsoever, he is just saying, hey guys, Elon Musk is beneficial to us. Let's not fight with him. Let's not push him away. Come on. That's what the left would do. We don't do that. We don't have principles. We do not hold on to our laurels and try to do the right thing. We don't try to make sure that we hold people to a standard. We don't do that. We just do whatever's beneficial for us to own the libs. But Elon Musk said anyone of any race, creed, or nationality who came to America and worked like hell to contribute to this country will forever have my respect. America is the land of freedom and opportunity. Fight with every fiber of your being to keep it that way. So Laura Loomer quote tweeted this and said, what about native-born Americans who worked like hell and slave away to work hard every day? Do you respect us native-born Americans too? We feel very disrespected, Elon Musk. Let's regroup, Elon. This has been destructive. Let's regroup and talk about this civilly. Let's talk. Now, Newsweek had a story called Steve Bannon mocks Elon Musk in H-1B visa war, calls him a toddler. And it says at the very beginning, Steve Bannon has labeled Elon Musk a toddler after the tech billionaire urged opponents of H-1B skilled migrant workers visas to F yourselves in the face. Bannon, who served as Donald Trump's White House chief strategist for 7 months in 2017, made the comment on social media platform Getter. I haven't heard of this one, so I don't know what that is. Gettr, which is primarily used by conservatives. Now, most everybody in mainstream media introduces Steve Bannon as someone who served as Donald Trump's chief strategist for his first term in office, but he wasn't just that. If you've read Bob Woodward's book on Donald Trump getting into office the first time, Steve Bannon was actually one of the two people who showed up to meet with Trump the very first time to convince him to run for president. And they were kind of the ones who got him to run as a populist, to run as anti-immigration. They convinced him of all of the strategies that have created the character of Donald Trump that we see today, that is now the politician version of Donald Trump. And Steve Bannon has also been a far-right, more alt-right leader. The alt-right doesn't really exist anymore, but he was one of the leaders and one of the early proponents of the alt-right and worked with them pretty closely. And he has a podcast that he runs called The War Room, where he had Laura Loomer on. But before we get to that, TYT covered a part of his show as well, and I want to show you that real quick.
It's populist nationalists versus elite globalists. Loomer's on here. She's banned. They're trying to ban Gavin Wax. You're going to be banned eventually by the free speech absolutist. The nerds don't take criticism. They're kind of, they're a little bit all on the spectrum, right? So they don't know, they're not deep in social skills.
And we're going to get all the details, but Cenk, what do you make of this?
So I agree with Elon and Vivek, but I love the rebellion against them. So I'm going to explain why in a little bit. And as we were talking, Elon Musk just liked my tweet on this, like right now on the show. And I'm going to tell you why he liked it once we get to that part of it, even though I'm criticizing him in parts. Because what's most interesting, guys, is the fissures.
I just feel so embarrassed of Cenk Uygur lately. He has become such a fucking cop-out, but whatever. It is not really relevant. So that was Steve Bannon initially talking about this, and then this is Steve Bannon talking to Laura Loomer about it a little bit later.
But let me go back to Elon Musk, and I've said this over and again, because he and I have a lot of disagreements, and particularly on transhumanism and the CCP. But, Laura, when the campaign had no money, the outside groups ran the ground game. You know this. You were there. He wrote a $250 million check starting in, every month starting in July. We would not have had the ground game victory we had, the 50-some plus million people that showed up on mass mobilization, if Elon didn't write that check. I mean, how do you deal with that? That the fact that he he's going to be at the table because he's one of the most important guys that backed President Trump financially, and in his engineering mind, he didn't spend the money on ads. He went right back and supported, Charlie Kirk's efforts, our efforts, your efforts, everybody to get out the vote. How do you square that, ma'am?
Well, you can have a seat at the table, but why are Trump loyalists and people who have actually had skin in the game since the beginning not allowed to criticize or even report on the history and the nature of the people that are now being appointed to work in the Trump administration? This is about freedom of speech. This is about holding truth to power, and this is about being able to speak truth to power and speak truth about unelected billionaires who now want to pretend like they are president. And a lot of people are concerned about this. It's not just Democrats that are concerned about the level of influence that technocratic billionaires are having walking into Mar-a-Lago and trying to have a seat at the table to influence our tech policy after being anti-MAGA and pro-open borders their entire lives. So
obviously, Democrats have never been open borders. None of us have been in favor of open borders, but it is good that there are finally some people within MAGA that are pushing back against this really weird group of billionaires. There's literally over a dozen billionaires working for and with Trump now, and then even more once you start including the Doge group of people. And it is the richest group of people who have ever been in a single cabinet. This is only second to Trump's first term, which was the first richest of all time. So it's really strange that all of these people were so cool with it during the entire campaign. But now that Trump's won, now they're starting to voice their concerns about this. And Bannon especially didn't really have much to say that I can remember. And he is so hardcore against elitists when all of these people are voting for a billionaire who is funded by another billionaire to then make a cabinet full of billionaires. I would say anybody voting for Trump and anybody who's supporting Trump is an elitist. These are the elitists in our country today, are the people who are getting all of these billionaires to be part of a single cabinet within our politics. But it might have sounded like Bannon was getting on board with Elon Musk there, but he's not really. I think he's just trying to ask the question that other people would have posed to Laura Loomer instead. And so now we have somebody named Eric Daughtry here. He said, new Anthony Scaramucci issues warning to Elon Musk. Lay off the gas on politics a little bit because these people could hurt you. No need for you to get hurt. You're doing so well in your life. What? And so this is quotes from this interview on CNN. This came out December 23rd. So while right-wingers were starting to ask Elon to kind of pull it back and not be so openly, putting his fingers into government when he's not elected, he is now getting into a war with MAGA and very much splitting up people within the party who are the more racist factions versus the more ignorant, people who may not even be willing to acknowledge those racist factions exist. So this was a guy named Ahmad Masad, who said, genuinely curious, are there actual instances where qualified native-born Americans couldn't get jobs in tech because foreigners took all of them? I'd be surprised if it's true because at any given point, there are hundreds of thousands of unfilled jobs in tech. Elon Musk replied to this and said there is a permanent shortage of excellent engineering talent. It is the fundamental limiting factor in Silicon Valley. So this is definitely true that there aren't just a bunch of shortages within tech, but that is what everybody's acting like currently. So then we also have here somebody named Yuchen Jin said USCIS just denied my U.S. green card application, claiming my work lacks impact beyond that of Apple Inc., even though they acknowledge that I am the Apple CTO. WTF, I have never worked at Apple. I got my CS PhD, co-founded an AI startup, and raised $20 million, yet after waiting And we'll go on down here. So Elon replied, "This is insane. I was denied an exceptional ability green card after selling my first internet company, Zip2, for over $300 million in cash within 4 years of finishing my undergrad, and where I was the founder, chairman, and CTO. They only gave it to me after PayPal." So Cernovich replied to this and said, "Kazarian versus USCIS is the worst case I saw on this. If this isn't exceptional ability, what the F is?" And so, yes, it does seem as though he's agreeing with the OP here. Then Ian Miles Chong tweeted a video of Trump right here where Trump talks about immigrants.
It's so sad when we lose people from Harvard, MIT, from the greatest schools and lesser schools that are phenomenal schools also. And what I wanted to do, and I would have done this, but then we had to solve the COVID problem because that came in and, sort of dominated for a little while, as you perhaps know. But what I want to do and what I will do is you graduate from a college, I think you should get automatically as part of your diploma a green card to be able to stay in this country. And that includes junior colleges too. Anybody graduates from a college, you go in there for 2 years or 4 years. If you graduate or you get a doctorate degree from a college, you should be able to stay in this country. And you know more stories than I do, but I know of stories where people graduated from a top college or from a college, and they desperately wanted to stay here. They had a plan for a company, a concept, and they can't. They go back to India, they go back to China, they do the same basic company in those places, and they become multi-billionaires employing thousands and thousands of people, and it could have been done here. And a bigger example is you need a pool of people to work for your companies. You have great companies, and they have to be smart people. Not everybody can be less than smart. You need brilliant people. And we force the brilliant people, the people that graduate from college, the people that are number one in their class from the best colleges, you have to be able to recruit these people and keep the people. It was such a big deal. Somebody graduates at the top of the class. They can't even make a deal with the company because they don't think they're going to be able to stay in the country.
And a lot of what he's saying is definitely true. I mean, one of the biggest parts of this is the fact that, yes, people who go to school in the United States then are able to work in the United States. So it makes sense that if we are the ones who are educating these people, that we would be able to see some benefits from them as well. But if they're brown, people like Laura Loomer and that part of the Make America Great groups do not agree. If they are brown, they do not want any benefits from them. So that's a sad reality, but here's Elon Musk saying, maybe this is a helpful clarification. I'm referring to bringing in via legal immigration the top 0.1% of engineering talent as being essential for America to keep winning. This is like bringing in the Jokic's or Wembys of the world to help your whole team, which is mostly Americans, win the NBA. So yeah, these are people from Europe that are in the NBA currently doing fairly well. So he said, thinking of America as a pro sports team that has been winning for a long time and wants to keep winning is the right mental construct. So this is Alex Jones who quote tweeted this, and he said, it is a classic American policy to brain drain the best from across the planet and bring them here. Musk has always advocated for this policy. Everyone bitching that Elon Musk has flip-flopped are either ignorant or lying. Elon, to a great extent, is the poster child for this program working. This is Alex Jones taking the Elon Musk side of this argument, but that's pretty much everything I have for you on this one. This is the war between Elon Musk and the far right. This is the two different factions within MAGA who are kind of clinging together. One side is kind of holding principles and trying to be consistent on them, but those principles are fairly racist and discriminatory. And the other side is just willing to kowtow to a tech billionaire who was paying as much as possible to help Donald Trump win so that he could have some power. And now all of those people want to be as close to Elon Musk as possible to get power or clout. Even people like Ian Miles Chong, he's not going to be working in the White House, but he's going to get a lot of retweets, and that's going to get him a lot of new followers. So that's super beneficial for people like him. And this is just fun to see the two sides going back and forth, and it's nice to see Elon maybe waking up to the, more discriminatory and bigoted parts of MAGA, and some parts of MAGA waking up to the fact that Elon Musk is not pro-free speech. Ever since he took over, he has been banning, censoring, taking away check marks, taking away people being able to make money on the platform from people on the left at a pretty high rate since he's been in power there. So this is nice to see the two sides finally waking up to the hypocrisies on both sides. But till next time, appreciate you.